going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Devon.
And I'm Liz.
And we are
BoardGameHype.
Nice. Today we are looking at
Scrabble
by
Hasbro Gaming.
And it is what, 2 to 4 players?
2 to 4 players, ages 8+, originally released in 1948.
Wow, I am old. That's really... I was born in 1948, if you didn't know. So let's dive right into the overview of the game.
Okay, so this game is actually pretty simple. What we're going to do is each player will take one of these lovely little player boards.
Player boards?
I'm gonna call this a player board.
Okay, player boards.
I'm sorry, what else are you supposed to call it?
And what are we gonna do with these?
And then you are going to take 7 letters out of this bag, and they will go onto your board. Your little player board is going to say secret from the rest of the people playing. And then the first player will start by putting a word in the center square here. You get a double word score for that first word. Has to be at least 2 letters. Cannot be, proper nouns, names, abbreviations, any of that kind of stuff, contractions. But otherwise, that is pretty much the way you play Scrabble. You're just going to continue around. The game ends when you have either completely run out of
tiles, right?
Tiles.
I believe when you run out of tiles, you end the game.
Yeah, when you run out of tiles, and or if everyone passes their turn twice. Actually, that is the other end of game condition.
This is one of those games where you definitely could like house rule it. So like,
yes,
I've never actually played that way. Like the other night, I think we played and we actually made a rule where we were just like 125 points and we were done.
Right.
I mean, because like we didn't want to play like super long time and we didn't want a short game. So we kind of went 150 points, 125 or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, that was the overview of the game. Essentially, you're going to take all these tiles, put them in this bag. Each person is going to get one of these red player boards, and then shuffle them up, grab 7, and then the first player gets double.
It's a double word score.
It's a double word score if you play it on that
And
star.
the only thing, your words have to be either horizontal or vertical. They cannot be diagonal.
It can't be diagonal or orthogonal.
Orthogonal.
Is that what that is?
Orthogonally placed.
It's always that word that I never understand. But so yeah, I think that's the overview of the game. The cool thing about this board specifically is there's double letter scores, double word scores, triple letter scores, and triple word scores. And they all show you exactly on the board how that works. And then one thing that a lot of games don't do is they actually have a letter distribution on the side of this board specifically. I don't know when this version was made, but that's really helpful.
This one was 2013, actually.
2013. That's really helpful for a lot of people who are into like that math distribution and like what tiles get placed where. So that's the entirety of the game. I mean,
yeah, that's it.
It's obviously a classic. So take these ratings, not to your heart specifically, but this is just our personal, rating system.
Right.
Do we want to actually go over the rating system? I didn't print out the thing that we had.
Yeah, we definitely can. So rating system, we are using 1 through 5.
We're going to try something different. We're going to do 1 through 5 this time. So 5 being.
So 5 is going to be like absolutely amazing, top of the line. We're talking a top 10 game for us. So incredibly highly rated. 4 is going to be considered, this is an above average game for us. So this is a game we're going to buy a lot harder to get to a table. Not probably a game that we would ever sell. Definitely will keep shelf space on.
Yeah.
A 3 is considered like an average game. It's a good player experience. I'm not necessarily going to fight to get it to the table, but I'm also not going to be like upset if someone's like, oh my gosh, I want to play this game.
Yeah.
A 2 means there were some opportunities for improvement. It was kind of just like a meh. Not a bad game, not a great game. Just kind of, we call those our rainy day games.
Those are 2 to 3s are like the rainy day games. And then you got 1 and 0, which...
Those are kind of fell square. I don't think we've ever had a game that we've rated like that.
No, not yet. I mean, I have played a few games that are close to 1s, but they just hit over that 1, and it's like, okay, fine. So that's how we're going to rate. Let's jump right into how we rate specifically. We actually do more of an in-depth rating on our 1 to 5. So we take 6 different sections. 5 now, because we changed. We take 5 different sections and kind of dive into each of those specifically. So the first section is going to be components and accessibility. So that's going to be all the components you see here, accessibility, how fast you can play, get it to the table, how easy it is for a wide audience to play. So yeah, what are you thinking about yours?
Yeah, so I think this is where we are going to differ a lot in this game. So I actually rated accessibility at a 4.
Oh my
At a 4.
goodness.
I know. So one
Interesting.
caveat I would like to say, I grew up with a Scrabble board version that was like the raised board where everything was inset.
Yeah.
Because my mom is a Scrabble fanatic. So therefore I did kind of have that in my brain as I was rating this part of it. So I will add that as a caveat. The reason I rated it that way, I mean, I think the Scrabble board that I've had since I was a kid is literally probably 20 plus years old, and it still works great, which means you do have a high quality components, you've got a high quality board, it's very affordable and accessible for people. And I do like that you can house rule and say like, hey, we're playing to 150 points, or hey, we're playing to 100 points, whatever the case might be.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, the board is fine. The tiles are really nice. This is a nice plastic. For me, I gave it a 2. And I kind of gave that a 2 because I didn't grow up on Scrabble, like that nicer board and everything. And a lot of times I grew up with small spaces. And so for me, I couldn't play this big board because every time it would get bumped, things would get knocked off.
You didn't have Travel Scrabble?
I didn't have Travel Scrabble.
We had Travel Scrabble. I have distinct memories.
So I gave this a 2. I still think the components are fine, but it's one of those where it's like, if 3 is an average, 2's it's an okay, you know, for me. So,
absolutely.
Want to move on to the next one?
For sure. So theme and story, this one,
Not
we
applicable.
actually, really rated not applicable
because the theme and story is every letter counts. That's the theme and story.
Okay.
So not applicable essentially on theme and story for a lot of abstract games like this where there is no set theme besides you're trying to make words. So that's our second one. Our third one is actually going to be artwork and graphic design.
Yes.
For me, I rated this a 3. It's an average artwork graphic design. I really like how they specifically have color codes as well as the words on the board. And I think it's well designed. I mean, it's a very neat board. Everything's situated nicely. You can easily read all of these tiles, which is big. So yeah, that's my opinions on that.
Yeah, I rated it a 4. And I would absolutely echo everything you just said. I think they did a fantastic job at picking colors that probably weren't necessarily typically used in the late 40s.
Well, if you think about this red,
design.
this is a lot brighter red, but this is actually a darker red.
Yeah, so I
it's
think I think typically you would think red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, like those kinds of things, but they really kind of explored other options,
and I
which
like
I
how
think
they
is cool.
did the different hues as well. Like this is a lighter red, but it's still a red. It's a pink, but it's really that dark
it's in that
red.
Family.
So you said you gave it a 4?
I gave it a 4.
Okay. That's 2 more left, right? So let's gameplay and mechanisms.
Yes.
Go ahead with that one.
I actually rated it a 3.
Okay.
So very much, I mean, Scrabble is a classic game. It's like we talked about, I grew up on it. I have memories of...
I also rated it a 3.
Yeah, like I think it's just one of those games, like it's a good experience. I've played it in a car on the way to South Dakota. I've played it in a
Travel
coffee
Scrabble
shop.
or the normal Scrabble?
Travel Scrabble.
Oh,
because
see.
the letters clip in. So then
Yeah, Travel Scrabble's really nice.
and your little boards have little covers, so that
your
way
player boards.
Yeah, your player boards have covers. Like it's pretty nifty.
So yeah, finally we're gonna talk about experience and feelings. And this is how, like, did we have fun playing it? Would we enjoy playing it again with other people? Is there moments where it's like take that, or like don't feel as good playing it? I gave this a 2.
Okay.
Because for me, it's so hard because this is a classic game that everyone loves. So when you're rating it, it's really tough because for me, it's a game I will play, but I'm not gonna like play it a lot. I don't want to play it a lot.
Right.
I have sometimes I have fun, sometimes I really don't have fun, depending on how long it drags on, you know? And so that's why I gave it like a below average rating for me specifically, because I like those more hobby word games like Paperback, for example.
Absolutely.
This is like another level of Scrabble on top of that. So I gave it a 2.
Yeah, so I gave it a 3.
Okay.
So, and I would very much, again, agree with what you said. I think sometimes Scrabble is long and daunting. But sometimes it feels like the game really flows along, and I think that depends on who you're playing with, how many players you have, if you're playing in teams,
when it
all
goes
of those
back to that, you can go to
things.
150 points. You
Right,
know, you
like
can
I know
kinda-
sometimes we almost play collaborative Scrabble, like if I'm having a rough time and I just can't think of words.
Babe, I need help.
Um,
What's that letter? X?
Right.
No, that's a Z. That's a Z.
Okay.
So our last thing is we're unique because this whole channel is dedicated to having you discover new two-player, like games for two players specifically. And so for me, does this game play well at two players? I said it plays fine at two
Yeah,
players.
I would
I mean,
completely agree.
Like you just said, it doesn't have to be competitive mode. Like
No.
we can go like co-op and just be like, hey, here's your letters, here's mine. Let's work together a little bit to figure this out. So I'd said it was yes for two players.
Perfect. So then overall, what was your final
So
rating?
overall, my hype rating was a 2.5.
Nice. Mine was a 3.5.
So I think that still falls into
It does, into the liked it category.
and then the animation plays and it says boop, boop, boop. It says loved it still because I gotta find out how to fix that. But so yeah, so this game is a classic. Of course, Scrabble is one of those games where it goes out to everyone's tables. I mean, even if we don't like it, we're still gonna play it, you know. And,
Yes, absolutely.
It's such an easy game to get to the table with a family, you know.
There's nostalgia for sure. Like
yeah.
I think that's part of the reason I rated it so highly is there is a ton of nostalgia there for me.
Right. So that is going to be Scrabble, everybody. If you liked our content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and also hit the bell. Ding. In order to be notified for when we post new videos on the channel. Also, in a comment below, let us know how much you like Scrabble. Or don't like.
I want to know what your highest scoring Scrabble word was. Because I scored Hazy for 51 points in the last game.
That's interesting. Yeah. Let us know in a comment below what your highest scored word is. And she will be very happy. So
I will be.
Let's sign off. How are we going to sign off? Are we going to do
I wish it.
SCRABBLE, Scrabble?